Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 21. The Core of Self-Love. We now begin a new and sacred phase of our journey together. With the soil of our awareness prepared, we are now ready to plant the most vital and life-altering seed of all, the seed of true self-love. There is perhaps no concept more misunderstood in our culture. We are often taught that to love oneself is to be selfish, arrogant, or narcissistic. We are taught that humility means putting ourselves last. We may associate self-love with fleeting indulgences, a bubble bath, or a piece of chocolate, which, while lovely, are merely surface-level expressions of a much deeper principle. Today, we are here to reclaim the true meaning of self-love. It is not an act of ego. It is the ultimate act of spirit. So, let us first be clear about what self-love is not. It is not believing you are better than others. That is the ego's game of comparison. It is not ignoring the needs of others. That is selfishness. Self-love is the foundational act of filling your own cup so completely that you have an abundance of love to naturally overflow and share with the world. So, what is it? At its core, self-love is the practice of being on your own side. It is the unwavering commitment to be your own greatest ally, your own most compassionate friend, your own most gentle parent. Let's break that down. First, self-love is rooted in unconditional worth. This is the deep, cellular, embodied knowing that your worth is inherent and non-negotiable. It is not something you have to earn through your achievements, your productivity, your appearance, or the approval of others. You are worthy simply because you exist. You were born worthy. This is a truth you don't have to build, but simply remember. It is the bedrock upon which everything else is built. Second, self-love is expressed through compassionate action. This means consistently making choices that support your long-term physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And sometimes the most loving action is the most difficult one. It might mean setting a difficult boundary with a loved one. It might mean saying no to an opportunity so you can honor your need for rest. It might mean walking away from a job or a relationship that is draining your spirit. It is the act of parenting yourself with loving kindness, choosing what is truly best for you, even when it's hard. Third, self-love is the practice of honoring your needs and feelings. It is the ability to tune into your own inner landscape and validate what you find there. It is giving yourself permission to feel sad, to feel angry, to feel tired, without judgment. It is recognizing your own needs for rest, for connection, for solitude, for play, as valid and essential, and then taking gentle steps to meet them. And finally, self-love is the conscious cultivation of a loving inner dialogue. It is the daily practice of catching the voice of the inner critic and consciously replacing it with the voice of your own higher self. It is learning to speak to yourself with the same warmth, encouragement, and forgiveness that you would offer to a beloved friend who was struggling. This practice is the foundation for everything. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. You cannot receive a love from others that is deeper than the love you have for yourself. All the success, abundance, and joy you seek to create in the outer world will feel hollow if it is not built upon the solid, unshakable foundation of your own self-worth. This is not a final destination you arrive at. It is a practice, a moment-by-moment choice. It is the choice to be kind to yourself when you make a mistake, the choice to rest when you are weary, the choice to celebrate your own small victories. It is the ultimate act of coming home. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is a simple but profound practice of self-appreciation. Sometime this week, sit with your journal and create a list titled 10 Things I Genuinely Appreciate About Myself. Do not censor or judge your answers. They can be big or small, from I am a loyal friend to I am good at making tea. The goal is not to feed the ego, but to practice the gentle and often unfamiliar feeling of acknowledging your own goodness. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 22, Practicing Self-Acceptance. In our last chapter, we planted the sacred seed of self-love. Today, we will tend to that seed with the most nourishing element of all, the practice of self-acceptance. In a world that is constantly telling us to improve, to optimize, and to become a better version of ourselves, the act of simply accepting ourselves exactly as we are can feel radical. And it is. It is the most radical and transformative act of peace you can declare upon your own inner world. There is a beautiful paradox that lies at the heart of all growth, often summarized by the psychologist Carl Rogers. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Let this sink in for a moment. We are taught to believe that change comes from a place of harsh self-criticism. We believe we must hate our flaws into submission. We think that if we just judge ourselves harshly enough for procrastinating, we will become productive. If we just shame ourselves enough for our anxiety, we will become calm. But this approach is like trying to build a new house on a foundation of quicksand. Change that comes from a place of self-rejection is fragile and rarely lasts, because it is rooted in the belief that we are fundamentally broken. Self-acceptance is the act of creating solid ground. It is looking at the truth of your present moment, with all of its beauty and all of its challenges, and choosing to stop fighting a war with it. It is crucial to understand that acceptance is not the same as resignation or complacency. It does not mean you will never grow or evolve. It does not mean you are giving up. In fact, it is the complete opposite. It is the courageous act of dropping the weapons, ending the inner battle, and conserving all of that wasted energy so that you can use it for conscious, loving, and intentional growth. Imagine you are lost in a forest, panicking, running in circles, and screaming, "I shouldn't be here. I hate that I'm lost," will only exhaust you and get you more lost. The first step to finding your way out is to stop, take a breath, and accept the reality of your situation. Okay, I am here. I am lost. Only from that calm, accepted reality can you pull out your compass and begin to take effective steps forward. This practice is especially powerful when applied to the parts of ourselves we often try to deny or disown, what is sometimes called our shadow self. These are the parts of us we feel are unlovable: our anger, our jealousy, our fear, our laziness, our insecurity. We spend so much energy trying to pretend these parts don't exist, but they do. And the more we push them into the darkness, the more power they gain. Self-acceptance is the act of turning on the light. It is the willingness to look at these parts with curiosity instead of condemnation. To understand that every part of you, even the most challenging, has a story. It is likely a younger part of you that developed a coping strategy to stay safe. Your anger might be a fierce protector of your boundaries. Your fear might be a loyal guardian trying to prevent you from getting hurt. When we can meet these parts with acceptance, we can begin to integrate their wisdom and heal their wounds. So how do we practice this? It begins with noticing the resistance. Throughout your day, become aware of the moments you are arguing with reality or judging yourself. It's the feeling of tension when you are stuck in traffic, the harsh and inner voice when you make a mistake. In that moment, the practice is to gently acknowledge what is. State the simple, neutral fact of the situation. I am feeling insecure right now. I did not get everything done on my list today. This person is behaving in a way I don't like. Then, you can introduce a simple, powerful mantra. You can say it silently to yourself. I accept this moment exactly as it is. Or, if it is directed inward, I accept myself exactly as I am in this moment. As you say this, feel what happens in your body. Often, there is a subtle but immediate softening. The muscles in your shoulders might release. Your jaw might unclench. This is the feeling of surrender. This is the feeling of peace. This practice, repeated over time, will rewire your entire being. You will spend less and less of your precious life fighting battles with reality and with yourself. You will create a state of profound inner peace, the solid ground from which all true and lasting growth can finally begin. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation for reflection this week is to practice with a part of yourself you have been struggling to accept. It could be a habit, a feeling, or a physical trait. In your journal, write about it from a place of resistance first. Then, take a deep breath, and on a new page, write the phrase, "For just this moment, I choose to fully accept this part of me." Then, write about what you feel. Notice the shift from the energy of resistance to the energy of acceptance. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 23, The Mirror Exercise. We have laid the groundwork of self-acceptance. Now we are ready to engage in one of the most direct, potent, and transformative practices for cultivating self-love. It is a practice that is incredibly simple, completely free, and for many, one of the most challenging things they will ever do. We are going to learn the practice of mirror work. For most of us, the mirror is a tool of judgment. We look into it to find flaws. We scan for wrinkles, for blemishes, for signs of aging, for all the ways we don't measure up to some external ideal. We critique, we analyze, and we turn away, often feeling worse than when we began. The mirror has become a reflection of our inner critic. Today, we will begin the sacred work of transforming this relationship. We will learn to use the mirror not as a tool of judgment, but as a portal for connection. A way to bypass the superficial and gaze directly into the soul of the beautiful being standing there. A way to offer yourself the love and validation you may have been seeking from the outside world for your entire life. I want to acknowledge that this practice can feel intensely vulnerable, awkward, and even painful at first. That is completely normal. Those feelings are simply the resistance of the old patterns of self-criticism. Our task is to meet that resistance with gentleness and to persist with compassionate consistency. Here is how to begin. First, create a safe space. Find a mirror in your home where you can have a few moments of guaranteed privacy. The bathroom mirror is often a good place to start. This is a sacred, intimate practice between you and you. Next, start small. I cannot overstate this. The goal is consistency, not duration. Commit to just 60 seconds to begin. Everyone has 60 seconds. Set a gentle timer on your phone if it helps. Now stand before the mirror. Take one deep, grounding breath. And then gaze into your own eyes. This is the most important part of the practice. Try to look past the surface, past the tired eyes or the messy hair. Look into your pupils. Look into the window of your own soul. Try to see the person who is in there, the consciousness that has been with you through every single moment of your life. As you hold this gaze, you will begin with one simple, powerful phrase. Say it aloud. Your voice is a vibration that your body needs to hear. The phrase is, I love you. Say it. I love you. Now notice what happens. Your inner critic might scream, liar. You might feel an overwhelming urge to laugh or cry or look away. You might feel absolutely nothing. All of it is okay. All of it is part of the process. Your only job is to stay with yourself for those 60 seconds, and if you can, to say it again. I love you. Why does this work? Because you are actively creating new neural pathways in your brain. For years, perhaps decades, the pathway of self-criticism has been a well-worn superhighway. The pathway of self-love may be a tiny, overgrown footpath. Every time you do this practice, you are clearing that path. You are strengthening the neural connections associated with self-love and self-compassion. You are speaking directly to your subconscious mind and to the tender inner child within you, who may have been waiting a lifetime to hear these words from the one person who matters most. You. As you become more comfortable, you can expand your vocabulary of love. You might try, I forgive you. I am so proud of you. You are worthy. You are enough, exactly as you are. Eventually, you can use the mirror to have a real supportive conversation with yourself. You can look yourself in the eye and say, I know you are feeling anxious about that meeting today, but I am here with you. We will get through it together. You are learning to become your own source of comfort and encouragement. This practice may be one of the bravest things you will do on this journey. It is the act of showing up for yourself, of choosing to see your own divinity, of actively rewiring your mind for love. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to commit to this practice for just 60 seconds every day. After your first time trying it, go to your journal and write freely about the experience. What was it like to look yourself in the eye? What feelings or thoughts came up? Which phrases felt easy to say and which felt difficult? There are no right or wrong answers. Simply witness your own brave process with compassion. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset, Chapter 24, Affirmations for the Soul. We have learned to look at our reflection with love. Now we will learn to consciously choose the thoughts that create a loving inner world. Today, we explore the art of affirmations, not as a form of wishful thinking, but as a powerful tool for reprogramming our subconscious mind and aligning our thoughts with the truth of our soul. Many of us have tried affirmations and found them lacking. We've stood in front of that same mirror and repeated, I am wealthy and abundant, while our bank account was empty and a pile of bills sat on the table. Instead of feeling empowered, we felt like a liar. This creates a painful cognitive dissonance where our inner critic can jump in and say, see, this doesn't work. Who are you kidding? The reason this approach often fails is that it tries to leap from a deeply ingrained negative belief to a wildly positive one without building a bridge. An affirmation is not about lying to yourself. It is about consciously choosing a thought that feels better, more expansive, and more aligned with the reality you wish to create. The key to an effective affirmation is not just the words, it is the emotional resonance. The thought must feel believable enough for your nervous system to accept it. So, let's learn how to craft affirmations for the soul, affirmations that truly work. The first principle is to state them in the present tense. As we learned when setting intentions, the subconscious mind operates in the now. We use I am to declare a state of being. The second and most crucial principle is to make them believable. This is where we build the bridge. If a limiting belief is, I am not a confident person, the affirmation, I am supremely confident, might feel like too big a leap. We need to find stepping stones. A bridging affirmation could be, I am willing to see myself as a confident person. I am in the process of building my inner confidence every day. I am open to discovering the confidence that already exists within me. Can you feel the difference? These statements are true. They are invitations, not declarations of a reality that feels false. They give your mind a gentle direction to move in, creating a feeling of hope and possibility instead of resistance. Third, connect to a feeling. The words are the key that unlocks the door, but the feeling is the energy that walks you through it. After you state your affirmation, take a moment to feel it. When you say, I am worthy of love, don't just say the words. Take a breath and feel the warmth of worthiness spreading through your chest. The feeling is what magnetizes the experience to you. It is the language the universe understands best. Fourth, make them personal and specific. While I am abundant is a wonderful affirmation, it can be a bit vague. A more personal affirmation might be, I am open to receiving creative ideas and opportunities that support me abundantly. I am a magnet for loving relationships and supportive friendships. The more personal it is, the more emotional resonance it will have for you. Once you have crafted your affirmations, how do you use them to their full potential? Repetition is key. The mind learns through consistent exposure. Write your affirmations on sticky notes and place them on your bathroom mirror, your computer, or your car's dashboard. Integrate them with the practices you already have. Say your affirmations to yourself during the mirror exercise. Repeat one like a mantra during your breath meditation. Write one at the top of your journal page each morning to set the tone for your day. And finally, embody them. After you say or write your affirmation, take 30 seconds to truly embody it. If your affirmation is, I am calm and centered, stand up, roll your shoulders back, take a deep breath, and physically feel what calm and centered feels like in your body. This anchors the thought into your physical experience. Affirmations are a conscious act of rebellion against the automatic negative programming of the inner critic. You are choosing the thoughts of your higher self. You are taking the pen back and beginning to write a new, more loving, and more expansive story for your life, one thought at a time. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to become a conscious thought architect. In your journal, identify one significant limiting belief you hold about yourself. Then, using the bridging technique, craft 3 gentle, believable affirmations that help you move in a new direction. For example, if the belief is, I always mess things up, your new affirmations could be, 1. I am learning from my mistakes and growing wiser every day. 2. I forgive myself for past errors and I am open to doing better. 3. I am capable of handling challenges with grace. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 25. Forgiveness, the gift you give yourself. We have begun the sacred practice of cultivating love and acceptance within ourselves. Now we must turn our attention to the heavy burdens from the past that can block the flow of that love. We are here to talk about forgiveness, not as a moral obligation or a favor to another, but as a profound and radical act of self-liberation. There is no heavier weight to carry through life than the weight of resentment. To hold a grudge, to harbor bitterness, to replay a past hurt over and over again, this is to live in a self-made prison where the past is more real than the present. Today, we are going to learn how to find the key to that prison door. First, it is essential that we release the painful misconceptions that surround forgiveness. Let us be absolutely clear about what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not condoning. It is not saying that what happened was okay. Harmful actions are still harmful. Painful words are still painful. Forgiveness does not erase the wrongness of the act. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. It does not mean you must allow the person who hurt you back into your life. Forgiveness can, and often must, coexist with very strong and healthy boundaries. You can forgive someone completely while also deciding, for your own well-being, that you will no longer have contact with them. Forgiveness is not forgetting. The memory of what happened may always be with you. The goal is not to induce amnesia, but to neutralize the painful emotional charge that the memory holds. The goal is for the memory to become a scar, a sign of a healed wound, rather than a raw, open wound that gets poked every time you think of it. And most importantly, forgiveness is not something you do for the other person. They may never apologize. They may never understand the depth of the pain they caused. They may never even know that you are doing this work. This is the crucial point. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. So, what is it? Forgiveness is the conscious decision to release yourself from the toxic cocktail of resentment, bitterness, and the desire for revenge. It is captured perfectly in the classic saying, to hold on to unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. The only person being harmed by the poison of resentment is the one who is drinking it. Holding on to a grudge is a massive drain on your life force. It keeps you energetically tethered to the person and the event that hurt you. You are literally giving your precious creative energy to the past, moment after moment. By choosing to forgive, you are cutting that energetic cord. You are reclaiming your power. You are declaring that your future peace is more important than your past pain. The process of forgiveness is an inner practice, a journey you take within your own heart. It begins with acknowledging the pain. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. Give yourself full permission to feel the anger, the grief, the sense of injustice. Write it down. Speak it aloud in a safe space. Honor the part of you that was wounded. Do not rush this step. Next, you must make a conscious choice. Forgiveness is a decision, not always a feeling. You may not feel ready. You may not feel like they deserve it. That's okay. The choice is not for them. It's for you. You can simply set the intention. For the sake of my own freedom and my own peace, I am willing to begin the process of forgiving. Willingness is the key that starts the engine. The heart of the practice is to release the energetic debt. When we hold a grudge, we are holding the other person to a debt we believe they owe us, an apology, remorse, or punishment. The act of forgiveness is canceling that debt. It is the realization that you no longer need anything from them in order to be whole. You are taking your power back by deciding that your healing is your own responsibility. Finally, you repeat as needed. Forgiveness is not always a one-time event, especially with deep wounds. It is a practice. A feeling of anger may surface again months or years later. When it does, it is not a sign of failure. It is simply another layer of the wound coming up to be healed. You meet it with compassion and you choose to forgive. Again, forgiveness is the key that unlocks the cage of the past. It does not change the past, but it liberates the present and expands the future. It is the ultimate act of reclaiming your peace. Your invitation this week is to gently approach this practice. In your journal, bring to mind a person or situation that you are holding resentment toward. Allow yourself to write freely, without censorship, about all the pain, anger, and hurt associated with it. Acknowledge it all. Then, when you are finished, take a deep breath. On a fresh page, write this declaration: for the sake of my own peace, I am willing to begin the process of letting this go. Sit with that statement and notice how it feels in your body. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 26, Forgiving Your Younger Self. We have explored the courageous act of forgiving others in order to free ourselves. Now we turn this powerful medicine inward. We will embark on what is often the most challenging and the most profoundly healing forgiveness journey of all. The journey of forgiving your younger self. Of all the people we hold grudges against, the person many of us judge most harshly is the person we used to be. We lie awake at night, cringing at embarrassing moments from a decade ago. We carry the heavy weight of shame for choices we made in our youth. We hold ourselves hostage to past mistakes, refusing to grant ourselves the same grace and understanding we might readily offer to a friend. This self-inflicted burden of regret is a heavy anchor that keeps us from sailing freely into the waters of our present and future. Today, we are going to learn to cut that anchor rope. The first and most important principle to embrace is this: your younger self did the absolute best they could with the knowledge, the resources, and the level of consciousness they had at the time. Let that land. They did not have the wisdom you have now. They did not have the life experience you have now. They were operating with a different set of tools, a different understanding of the world, and a different level of emotional maturity. To judge that past version of yourself by your present-day standards is not only unfair, it is illogical. You are blaming a child for not knowing how to do calculus. The path to self-forgiveness begins with cultivating empathy for the person you once were. Let's try a small exercise in perspective. Bring to mind a specific memory, a choice that you still carry shame or regret about. Now, instead of seeing it through your own eyes, I want you to visualize that younger you as a separate person. See yourself at that age. How old were you? What did you look like? Gently get curious about their world. What was going on in your life at that time? What pressures were you under? What were your deepest fears? What did you not yet know about life, about love, about yourself? See this younger person not as a failure, but as someone who was learning, struggling, and most likely trying to survive in the only way they knew how. From this more compassionate perspective, their choice might start to make a little more sense. Perhaps it was a misguided attempt to find love, to feel safe, to belong, or to escape pain. When you can see this younger self with the same empathy you might offer to a dear friend, you can begin the active practice of forgiveness. First, acknowledge the action and the pain. Clearly and gently state what happened and the pain it caused you or others. I acknowledge that I made a choice that hurt someone I cared about, and I have carried the guilt of that for years. Next, validate the feeling. Acknowledge the regret or shame without judgment. I allow myself to feel the sadness and shame around this memory. Then, offer understanding. Speak directly to that younger version of yourself with the compassion you have just cultivated. I understand you were scared and feeling lost. I understand you were just trying to protect yourself from getting hurt. I understand you didn't have the tools to handle that situation any differently. Finally comes the release. This can be incredibly powerful when written down. I invite you to write a letter from your wise, present self to that younger version of you. In the letter, acknowledge their struggle, validate their experience, and then explicitly offer them your forgiveness. You can write the words, "I forgive you," "I release you," "You did the best you could," and "I am no longer going to punish you for it." When you forgive your younger self, you are not erasing the past. You are integrating it. You are collecting the fragmented, exiled parts of yourself and welcoming them back at home with love. You stop carrying the dead weight of who you were, which liberates an immense amount of energy to become who you are truly meant to be right now. You become whole. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to write that letter. Choose one specific memory or period in your life where you have been holding on to self-blame. Write a short, compassionate letter from the you of today to the you of back then. You don't have to share it with anyone. The sacred act of writing it, of putting the words of forgiveness onto paper, is where the healing happens. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset, Chapter 27, Compassion for Self. We have practiced the courageous act of forgiveness for others and for ourselves, releasing the heavy burdens of the past. Now we will learn to cultivate the gentle, moment-to-moment practice that sustains this freedom, the practice of self-compassion. This is the skill of learning to be your own best friend, especially when you need one the most. You may wonder, how is self-compassion different from self-love or self-esteem? While they are all related, the distinction is important. Self-love is the foundational belief in our own worthiness. Self-esteem is often conditional. It's how we judge or value ourselves, often in comparison to others or to our own standards. It can rise when we succeed and plummet when we fail. Self-esteem asks, am I good enough? Self-compassion is unconditional. It is not based on performance, success, or failure. It is a way of relating to yourself with kindness, especially in moments of suffering. Self-compassion doesn't ask, am I good enough? It asks, I'm suffering right now. What do I need? It is a stable, reliable, and infinite source of inner strength that is available to you precisely when your self-esteem has abandoned you. Dr. Kristen Neff, a leading researcher in this field, has identified 3 core components of self-compassion. The first is self-kindness versus self-judgment. This is the most intuitive part. It is the simple act of being warm, gentle, and understanding with yourself when you are hurting, rather than meeting your own pain with cold criticism. It is treating yourself with the same care and kindness you would offer to a dear friend who is going through the exact same situation? When a friend makes a mistake, you don't usually say, "You're such an idiot." You say, "Hey, it's okay. You're human. You did your best." Self-kindness is learning to turn that compassionate voice inward. The second component is common humanity versus isolation. This is the antidote to shame. When we fail or make a mistake, our ego often tells us a story of separation. Everyone else has it together. What's wrong with me? I'm the only one who feels this way. This feeling of isolation is incredibly painful. Self-compassion reminds us of the truth of our shared common humanity. It is the recognition that suffering, imperfection, and failure are not signs that you are broken. They are an inevitable and universal part of the human experience. Everyone struggles. Everyone feels inadequate at times. By remembering this, you connect yourself to the rest of humanity rather than isolating yourself in shame. The third component is mindfulness versus over-identification. This is the practice of holding our painful thoughts and feelings in a balanced, aware state, rather than becoming completely consumed by them. It is acknowledging our pain without letting it become our entire identity. Instead of the thought, "I am a complete mess," which is over-identification, a mindful approach would be, "I am noticing a feeling of being overwhelmed." This is a moment of suffering. This subtle shift in language creates space. It allows us to be with our pain without being drowned by it. These three components work together to create a powerful inner resource. Let me offer you a simple, tangible practice you can use anytime you are in a moment of difficulty. It is called the self-compassion break. When you notice a wave of stress, self-criticism, or painful emotion, the first step is to just pause. Then, you can gently place a hand over your heart or another soothing place on your body. The warmth and gentle pressure of your own hand is a powerful physiological signal of care that can calm your nervous system. Now, you can say these three things silently to yourself, addressing each of the three components. First, for mindfulness, this is a moment of suffering, or this is really hard right now. You are simply naming and validating the experience. Second, for common humanity, suffering is a part of life, or it's okay. Everyone struggles. I am not alone. And third, for self-kindness, may I be kind to myself in this moment, or may I give myself the compassion that I need. That's it. This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is a part of life. May I be kind to myself. This simple 1-minute practice can radically shift your response to life's challenges. It is the act of turning toward yourself with love when your instinct is to turn away in judgment. It is the ultimate practice of being your own ally. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to practice responding, not reacting. Think of a small recent situation where you were hard on yourself or felt a surge of self-judgment. In your journal, write down what your typical critical response was. Then consciously rewrite your response using the three components of self-compassion. What would it have been like to meet that moment with mindfulness, a sense of common humanity, and self-kindness instead? Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 28. Understanding Emotional Triggers. We have been cultivating a compassionate inner landscape. learning to meet ourselves with acceptance and love. Now we will use that compassionate awareness to explore one of the most confusing and often painful aspects of our emotional lives, our triggers. Have you ever had an experience where your emotional reaction felt completely out of proportion to the situation at hand? Perhaps a friend made a casual, slightly critical comment, and you were flooded with a tidal wave of shame that lasted for hours. Or a partner was a few minutes late, and you felt a surge of panic and abandonment that felt like a 10 out of 10, when the situation was objectively a 2. If you have ever felt baffled by the intensity of your own response, you have experienced an emotional trigger. Today, we are here to demystify these experiences. We are here to learn that our triggers are not signs that we are broken, overly sensitive, or irrational. In fact, they are profoundly logical. Our triggers are not random. They are road signs, pointing directly to the parts of our past that are asking for healing. So, what is a trigger? An emotional trigger is any sight, sound, word, or situation in the present moment that activates an unhealed wound from the past. The intense emotional reaction you feel is not actually about what is happening right now. It is the stored, unprocessed emotion from that original wound rushing to the surface. Imagine you have a deep, hidden bruise on your arm that you've forgotten about. You're moving through your day, and someone gently bumps into you. You cry out in agony. The person who bumped you is confused. The contact was so light, but the pain is real. The pain is not from the gentle bump. It is from the old bruise underneath. Your triggers are your old, unhealed emotional bruises. There is a powerful reframe to remember in these moments. When your reaction feels overwhelming, it is most likely historical, not hysterical. You are not overreacting. You are re-experiencing. Your nervous system, in its attempt to keep you safe, has identified a pattern. The current, minor event rhymes with a past, major event, and it is sounding a 5-alarm fire bell because it remembers the original fire. By understanding this, we can shift from being a victim of our triggers to becoming a compassionate student of them. Our triggers become our greatest teachers. They show us exactly where the work needs to be done. The key is to learn how to trace the trigger back to its root. This is not something to do in the heat of the moment. In the moment, your only job is to practice self-compassion and to safely remove yourself from the situation if you need to. This investigative work is for later, when the emotional wave has subsided and you can approach it with curiosity. Here is a simple process for tracing the trigger. First, identify the present-day event. What just happened? Be factual. My friend canceled our plans at the last minute. Second, name the core emotions. What did you feel? Go beyond upset. Be specific. I felt abandoned, unimportant, and angry. Third, notice the physical sensations. Where did this energy live in your body? I felt a hollow pit in my stomach and a tightness in my chest. Now here is the golden question. With a hand on your heart, gently ask yourself, when have I felt this exact combination of feelings and sensations before in my life? What is one of the first times I can remember feeling this way? Be patient. Don't force an answer. Just hold the question gently. Often, a memory from your past will surface. You might remember a time in childhood when a parent was late to pick you up from school, and that feeling of being forgotten, unimportant, and abandoned was first imprinted. That is the original wound. The canceled plans today did not create the feeling. They simply activated it. This awareness is profoundly liberating. The next time a similar situation happens, you can catch it. As the wave of emotion rises, you can say to yourself, this is that old feeling of abandonment. This is my history being activated. This awareness creates space. It is the space between stimulus and response. In that space, you can offer yourself the compassion your younger self needed. You can choose to respond to the present moment for what it is, a minor disappointment, instead of reacting from the deep wound of the past. Your triggers are not your enemies. They are messengers from the deepest parts of yourself, asking for love. By learning to listen to them, you become the healer you've been waiting for. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to become a gentle, emotional detective. Think back to the last time you felt a strong emotional trigger. Once you are in a calm and safe space, take out your journal and walk through the tracing practice. Describe the event, the emotions, and the physical sensations. Then, sit quietly with the golden question: what is an earlier time in my life when I felt the same way? Just be curious. Whatever comes up, meet it with compassion, not judgment. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 29. The Power of Emotional Release. We have learned to identify our emotional triggers as messengers from our past. But what do we do when those messengers arrive, bringing with them the intense energy of old, unprocessed feelings? Today, we will learn the sacred and vital art of healthy emotional release. We will learn how to allow our emotions to move through us, rather than getting stuck in us. Let's begin by understanding what an emotion truly is. The word itself gives us a clue. Emotion. It is energy in motion: anger, sadness, grief, joy, fear. These are not just abstract concepts. They are tangible, physiological energies that are designed to flow through our bodies. They are like weather systems that are meant to move through the landscape of our being. A healthy emotional life is not about having only sunny days. It is about learning how to be a resilient landscape that can handle the passing storms without being destroyed by them. Most of us have been taught, either directly or indirectly, to handle these emotional storms in one of two unhealthy ways. The first is suppression. We are taught that certain emotions are bad or weak. We learn to push them down, to intellectualize them, to numb them, or to pretend they aren't there. This is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes a tremendous amount of constant energy and effort, and eventually, that suppressed energy will find a way out, popping up unexpectedly as a sudden outburst, or turning inward to become anxiety, depression, or even physical illness. The second unhealthy extreme is unconscious expression, or what we might call venting. This is when we become completely fused with the emotion and act it out, often by blaming others, getting stuck in a circular story of victimhood, and endlessly rehearsing the drama. While it might feel temporarily cathartic, this kind of venting often just reinforces the neural pathways of that emotion, making it easier to feel that way in the future without ever truly processing and releasing the core energy. There is a healthy, powerful middle path. This is the path of conscious release. This practice is about creating a safe and intentional container to feel the raw physical energy of an emotion in your body, allowing it to complete its natural cycle and move through you. It is about separating the sensation of the emotion from the story about the emotion. So how do we do this? Here is a toolkit of safe and effective practices for emotional release. It is essential that these are done in a private, safe space where you will not be disturbed. First is the body-based approach. When you feel a strong emotion, find a quiet place to sit or lie down. Close your eyes. Name the feeling. This is anger. Then ask, where does this anger live in my body right now? Put all of your gentle, curious attention on that physical sensation. Is it a hot pressure in your chest? A churning in your stomach? A tightness in your jaw? Breathe into that sensation. Your only job is to be with the raw energy, without getting lost in the story of who made you angry. Just feel the heat, the pressure, the vibration. When you allow an emotion to be fully felt as a physical sensation, it will often crest like a wave and then naturally dissipate. Second is movement. Energy wants to move. Put on a piece of music that matches the emotional tone. If you are angry, put on something loud and intense. If you are grieving, something soulful. And then, let your body move. There is no right or wrong way. Stomp your feet, shake your hands and arms vigorously, punch a pillow, dance with abandon. Physically moving the body is one of the quickest ways to move stagnant emotional energy out of your system. Third is sound. Emotions, especially grief and anger, often get stuck in our throat and chest. Releasing them through sound can be incredibly liberating. Again, in a private space like your car or with your face in a pillow, allow yourself to make noise. Let out a deep groan. Sigh as loudly as you can. Yell. The goal is not to use words, but to release the primal, vibrational energy underneath them. And finally, there is crying. Many of us have been taught that crying is a sign of weakness. This is a profound falsehood. Crying is your body's beautiful, natural, and incredibly effective physiological mechanism for releasing sadness, grief, stress, and even overwhelming joy. Tears of emotion actually contain stress hormones. When you cry, you are literally releasing stress from your body. To allow yourself to cry fully is a courageous act of self-love and purification. Learning to be a safe container for your own emotional energy is a life-changing skill. You learn that no emotion is a final destination. It is all just weather, passing through. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation for this week is to practice the body-based approach with a manageable emotion. The next time you feel a wave of frustration, sadness, or anxiety, find a quiet space. Set a timer for just 3 minutes. Name the feeling, and then locate where it lives in your body. Breathe into that physical sensation with gentle curiosity. Afterwards, in your journal, write down what you noticed. Did the sensation change, move, or soften? Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 30. Journaling for Emotional Clarity. We have learned to identify our emotional triggers and how to safely release the energy of our feelings. Now, we will explore one of the most powerful tools for understanding the stories and beliefs that lie beneath those feelings. We will elevate the simple act of journaling from a mere diary into a dynamic practice for cultivating profound emotional clarity. The thoughts and feelings inside our minds can often feel like a giant, tangled ball of yarn. Anxious thoughts, sad feelings, memories from the past, and worries about the future are all knotted together in a chaotic mess. Trying to sort it all out in your head can feel impossible, like trying to untangle yarn from the inside. Journaling is the act of finding one loose end of that yarn and gently beginning to pull. The page becomes a space where you can lay out the threads, one by one. The simple, physical act of translating an amorphous thought or a vague feeling into concrete, written language forces a level of clarity that is almost impossible to achieve in your mind alone. It slows down the racing thoughts and allows you to look at them with a degree of separation. The page becomes your confidant, a perfectly safe, patient, and non-judgmental witness to your innermost world. But journaling can be so much more than just recounting the events of your day. It can be an active and intentional tool for self-inquiry and healing. Let's explore a few powerful techniques. The first, and perhaps most fundamental, is the brain dump. This is the art of emptying the contents of your mind onto the page. Set a timer for 10 or 15 minutes. Put your pen to the paper and write. Write whatever comes to mind. Do not stop. Do not edit. Do not worry about grammar, spelling, or if it makes any sense. If you can't think of anything to write, just write, "I can't think of anything to write," over and over until something else comes. The goal is not to create a masterpiece. The goal is to create space. By pouring the mental clutter onto the page, you liberate your mind, leaving you feeling lighter, calmer, and more focused. A second technique is question-based inquiry. This is where you use your journal to have a direct conversation with your own inner wisdom, your higher self. At the top of a fresh page, write down a question that is troubling you. It could be, what is this feeling of anxiety truly trying to teach me? Or, what is my next right step in this situation? After you write the question, just let your pen flow. Don't try to think of the perfect answer. Trust that a deeper part of you knows, and let the words come. You will be astonished at the wisdom that can emerge when you create the space for it. A third powerful practice is writing unsent letters. When you are feeling strong emotions, like anger or grief, towards another person, it can be incredibly healing to express those feelings fully without the real-world consequences of a confrontation. In your journal, write a raw, honest, uncensored letter to that person. Tell them everything you need to say. Get it all out. When you are finished, you do not send it. This letter is for you. It is a tool for you to achieve clarity and release, so that if and when you do have a real conversation, you can do so from a place of centeredness, not raw reactivity. Finally, you can use your journal for perspective shifting. If you are wrestling with a problem that feels overwhelming, try writing about it from the perspective of your future 80-year-old self. What would that wise, elder version of you, who has lived a full life, say about this current challenge? What advice would they give? This simple shift in perspective can often shrink the problem down to its true size and reveal a clear path forward. Your journal is not just a passive record of your past. It is an active tool for creating your present and future. It is a sacred space for honesty, a laboratory for clarity, and a sanctuary where you can always be your truest self. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to try the brain dump technique. The next time you feel mentally cluttered, stressed, or emotionally overwhelmed, set a timer for just 10 minutes. Open your journal and let your pen move continuously until the timer goes off. Don't reread it or analyze it immediately. Simply close the journal, take a deep breath, and notice the feeling of spaciousness you have created within your own mind. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 31, Empathy, Stepping into Another's Shoes. We have dedicated so much of our journey to cultivating a deep and loving, harsh relationship with ourselves. Now, with our own cups beginning to fill, we learn how to let that love and awareness overflow. We are here to explore the most beautiful bridge that connects one human heart to another, the practice of empathy. Empathy is the foundation of all meaningful connection. It is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It is the imaginative act of stepping out of our own perspective, and for a moment, gently stepping into someone else's world. In a culture that often prizes individuality and separation, empathy is a revolutionary act of unity. It is the practice that dissolves the illusion that we are alone in our struggles. To truly understand empathy, we must first distinguish it from its well-meaning cousin, sympathy. Sympathy is feeling for someone. It is looking down from the edge of a deep, dark hole where someone is stuck and saying, "Oh, wow, that looks terrible down there. I feel so sorry for you." Sympathy maintains a distance. It often comes with a subtle sense of being in a better position, looking down on another's misfortune. It can sometimes feel like pity, which creates more separation, not less. Empathy, on the other hand, is feeling with someone. It is climbing down into that dark hole with them, sitting beside them in the dirt, and saying, "I know what it's like down here, and you are not alone." Empathy doesn't require you to have had the exact same experience. It only requires you to have felt the same emotion. You may not know what it's like to lose a parent, but you know what grief feels like. You may not know what it's like to lose a specific job, but you know what fear and disappointment feel like. Empathy is connecting on the level of shared human feeling. It is a choice to be vulnerable, to touch a place of pain within yourself, in order to connect with the pain in another. Renowned researcher Dr. Brené Brown identifies 4 key components to this practice. First is perspective taking. This is the cognitive part, the willingness to imagine the world from another person's point of view. It is setting aside our own biases and beliefs for a moment to see the situation through their eyes. Second, and this is crucial, is staying out of judgment. It is impossible to be empathetic while simultaneously judging someone's choices or feelings. We must suspend our inner critic and our need to be right, and simply accept their experience as true for them in that moment. Third is recognizing the emotion. This involves listening not just to the story someone is telling, but to the feeling underneath the story. Are they expressing frustration, sadness, fear, shame? And finally, it is communicating that understanding. This is where the connection is truly made. You don't need to have a perfect response. You don't need to offer advice. Often the most empathetic response is the simplest. A heartfelt, "That sounds incredibly difficult," or "I can hear how much that hurt you," is infinitely more connecting than, "Well, you should have ... or "Look on the bright side ... It is the simple act of letting someone know that they are seen, heard, and that their feelings make sense. Empathy is not a fixed trait that you either have or you don't. It is a skill. It is a muscle that can be strengthened with conscious practice. You can build your empathy muscle by reading fiction and imagining the inner lives of the characters. You can build it by traveling and exposing yourself to different cultures and ways of life. And you can build it most powerfully by bringing a conscious intention to be more empathetic in your daily conversations. It's not always easy. True empathy requires a great deal of our own inner resource. It requires us to be grounded enough in our own well-being that we can venture into someone else's pain without losing ourselves in it. This is why all the foundational work we have done on ourselves is so important. By practicing empathy, we participate in the healing of the world. We offer the profound gift of human connection, reminding each other that no matter what we are going through, we are not alone. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to reflect on your conversational tendencies. Think of a recent conversation where a friend or loved one shared a struggle with you. In your journal, compassionately reflect on your response. Did you tend to offer sympathy, feeling for them, and perhaps offering advice? Or did you lean into empathy, trying to connect with the feeling underneath their story? There's no judgment here, only observation. What would it look like to bring just a little more feeling to your next conversation? Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 32, The Practice of Active Listening. We've learned that empathy is the heart of connection. Today, we will learn the primary skill that brings empathy to life. It is a practice that requires nothing more than your presence, and yet it is one of the most profound gifts you can offer another human being. We are here to learn the practice of active listening. There is a world of difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is a passive, biological process. It is the physical act of sound waves vibrating against your eardrum. Listening, on the other hand, is an active, conscious choice. It is the focused act of decoding meaning, of seeking to understand, of giving your full attention to another. In most of our conversations, we are not truly listening. We are hearing words, but our minds are elsewhere. We are waiting for our turn to speak. We are busy formulating our response, our counter-argument, our brilliant piece of advice. We are listening to respond, not listening to understand. This common habit is the source of endless misunderstanding and disconnection. To offer someone the gift of your active, undivided attention is to communicate without words that they matter. It is a revolutionary act of presence and respect in a world of constant distraction. So, let's explore the practical toolkit of an active listener. The first and most foundational skill is full presence. This is the non-negotiable starting point. When you choose to actively listen, you choose to be fully there. This means putting down your phone, turning away from your computer screen, making gentle, respectful eye contact, turning your body towards the speaker. These simple physical cues send a powerful message. I am here with you. You have my full attention. You are important. The second skill is a crucial shift in mindset. Listen to, understand, not to respond. Let this become your mantra. Your single, solitary goal in the conversation is not to fix their problem, not to share your own related story, and not to offer a solution unless it is explicitly asked for. Your only goal is to understand the speaker's world from their perspective, as they are experiencing it. This requires you to lovingly set your own ego and your own agenda aside. Third is the practice of reflective listening. This is the skill of gently paraphrasing what you are hearing to ensure you understand and to show the speaker that you are truly hearing them. It's not about parroting their words back to them. It's about capturing the essence of what they are sharing. You can use simple phrases like, "So, if I'm understanding you correctly, it sounds like you're feeling. Or what I'm hearing is that you felt really frustrated, because this practice is a powerful check for understanding. It makes the speaker feel deeply validated. Fourth, learn to ask open-ended questions. A closed question can be answered with a yes or a no, which can shut down a conversation. An open-ended question is an invitation to go deeper. Instead of asking, "Did that make you angry?" you could ask, "How did that feel for you?" Instead of, "Did you solve the problem?" you could ask, "What was that experience like for you?" These questions open the door for richer sharing and deeper understanding. Finally, and this can be the most challenging, you must learn to embrace silence. We are often so uncomfortable with pauses in a conversation that we rush to fill them with our own words. But silence is not empty. It is a space for processing. When you allow for a moment of silence after someone has shared something vulnerable, you are giving them a precious gift. You are giving them the space to process their own thoughts, to feel their own emotions, and to perhaps find the courage to say the next thing that needs to be said. Don't fear the silence. It is where the deepest understanding often takes root. Active listening is a moving meditation. It is a profound spiritual practice. By setting aside your own needs for a moment to create a sacred, non-judgmental space for another person's truth, you are co-creating a moment of true human connection. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to become a scientist of listening. In your next significant conversation, choose just one of the active listening skills to practice intentionally. Perhaps you will focus only on asking open-ended questions, or maybe you will focus on reflecting back what you hear. Afterwards, in your journal, write about the experience. How did this one small shift change the dynamic of the conversation? How did it feel for you? How did the other person seem to respond? Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 33, Compassionate Communication. We have explored the inner world of empathy, and we have practiced the receptive art of active listening. We have learned how to create a safe space for others to express their truth. Now, we must learn the other side of that sacred coin, how to express our own truth. We are here to learn the art of compassionate communication, a way of speaking that is clear, honest, and respectful, and that is designed to foster connection, not conflict. So much of our relational pain comes from a simple fact. We have not been taught how to speak about our feelings and needs in a way that others can actually hear. Often, when we feel hurt or misunderstood, our communication comes out as blame, criticism, or judgment. We might say, "You're so inconsiderate," or "You never listen to me." While the pain behind these statements is real, the words themselves immediately put the other person on the defensive. Their walls go up, and any chance for true understanding is lost. The conversation becomes a battle, not a collaboration. Compassionate communication, a practice largely developed by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, offers us a new way. It is a revolutionary framework for expressing ourselves that takes full responsibility for our own feelings and needs, while still honoring the humanity of the other person. It is a path to speaking your truth with both courage and kindness. This practice can be broken down into 4 key components. The first component is observation. This is the act of stating the neutral, factual, observable reality of what happened, without any judgment, evaluation, or exaggeration. This is harder than it sounds. For example, the statement, "You were late," is an observation. The statement, "You're always so rude and disrespectful by being late," is a judgment. We must separate what we saw or heard from the story we told ourselves about it. An observation is something a video camera could have recorded. It is the undisputed common ground. The second component is to express your feeling. After stating the observation, you take responsibility for the emotion that was triggered in you. You use a simple "I feel" statement. For example, when you arrived 20 minutes late for our meeting, the observation, "I felt hurt and unimportant." The feeling. This is profoundly different from saying, "You made me feel hurt." The "I feel" statement owns the emotion as your own experience, which cannot be argued with. The third and perhaps most crucial component is to identify the universal human need that is at the root of your feeling. Our feelings are like indicator lights on a dashboard. They are signals that a core need is either being met or not being met. So, you connect your feeling to your need. For example, when you arrived 20 minutes late, observation, "I felt hurt and unimportant," feeling, because my need for consideration and respect was not being met. Need. Other universal needs include safety, connection, understanding, autonomy, and belonging. Finally, after you have clearly and vulnerably expressed your observation, feeling, and need, you make a clear, positive, and doable request. A request is not a demand. A demand is a threat, where if the other person says no, they will be punished. A request is a genuine invitation, where no is an acceptable answer. And the request should be for a specific future action. For example, would you be willing to send me a text message if you are going to be more than 10 minutes late in the future? Let's put it all together. Imagine a classic conflict. The blame-filled statement might be, "You never help around the house. You're so lazy." The compassionate communication alternative would be, "When I see the dirty dishes in the sink after we finished eating," observation, "I feel tired and discouraged," feeling, because I have a deep need for partnership and support in our home, need. Would you be willing to help me with the dishes after dinner on the nights I cook? Request. Can you feel the difference? The first is an attack. The second is an invitation to connect and solve a problem together. This practice is not a magic formula, and it takes courage. It requires us to be vulnerable enough to identify and express our true feelings and needs. But it is a practice that can transform the entire landscape of our relationships, turning potential battlegrounds into sacred grounds for mutual understanding and care. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to practice this framework in your journal, not in a live conversation just yet. Think of a recent, minor misunderstanding or point of friction you experienced. Deconstruct it using the 4 components. First, what was the pure, neutral observation? Second, what did you feel? Third, what was your underlying universal need? And fourth, what could have been a clear, kind request? The goal is not to relive the conflict, but to build the muscle of compassionate thinking. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset, Chapter 34. Setting healthy boundaries. Having opened our hearts to empathy and compassionate communication, we now turn to a practice that makes all healthy relationships possible. It is a practice often misunderstood, feared, and avoided, yet it is one of the most profound acts of self-love you can engage in. Today, we begin the sacred work of setting healthy boundaries. Let us begin by releasing, The old story that boundaries are walls that we build to push people away. This is a myth rooted in fear. A healthy boundary is not a wall. It is more like a beautiful fence around the sacred garden of your inner world. A wall is a fearful structure designed to keep everyone out. A fence, however, simply defines your space. It has a gate, and you are the gatekeeper. You get to consciously and lovingly choose who and what you allow into your garden. Boundaries are not about shutting others out. They are about lovingly containing and protecting your own precious life force. So why is this practice so challenging for so many of us? Our resistance to setting boundaries is often rooted in deep-seated fears. There is the fear of being selfish. Many of us, particularly those socialized as helpers and caregivers, have been taught that to prioritize our own needs is selfish. Let us reframe this. Setting a boundary is an act of self-respect. It is the wisdom of knowing that you cannot pour from an empty cup. Tending to your own garden ensures you have beautiful flowers to share with the world. There is the fear of disappointing others. People-pleasing is often a survival strategy we learned in childhood. We learned that keeping others happy kept us safe and loved. As adults, we must learn that our worth is not dependent on the approval of others, and that it is okay for people to have their own feelings about our choices. And underneath it all, there's often a deep fear of conflict and abandonment. We fear that if we set a limit, if we say no, the other person will get angry, argue with us, or worse, leave us. So we abandon ourselves first, betraying our own needs to prevent someone else from possibly leaving. The consequences of living without boundaries are immense. When the gate to our garden is left wide open, we can feel constantly drained, taken for granted, and resentful. Our energy is depleted. Our time is not our own, and we can slowly lose touch with who we are and what we truly need. Our inner world becomes trampled and overgrown with the needs and demands of others. To make this concept more tangible, it helps to understand that boundaries exist in several key areas. There are physical boundaries, which relate to your personal space, your privacy, and your body. This includes who you allow to touch you, how close people can stand to you, and your right to privacy in your home and with your belongings. There are emotional boundaries. This is the understanding that your feelings are your responsibility, and another person's feelings are their responsibility. It means not taking on another person's emotional baggage and not allowing them to dump their unprocessed emotions onto you without your permission. It is the art of being empathetic without becoming enmeshed. There are time and energy boundaries. This is about recognizing that your time and energy are finite, sacred resources. It involves protecting your schedule from overcommitment, saying no to activities that drain you, and carving out non-negotiable time for your own rest and restoration. The very first step in this practice is not to build a fence, but simply to notice where one is needed. You must learn to listen to the signals from your own inner guidance system. The most powerful of these signals are the feelings of discomfort, and especially resentment. If you consistently feel drained, angry, or resentful after interacting with a certain person or in a certain situation, that feeling is a bright red flag. It is your soul's alarm system telling you, warning, a boundary is needed here. Your feelings are your wisest counselors. Learning to honor them as valid and important information is the first, most crucial step in learning to protect the sacred ground of your own being. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to become a gentle observer of your own energetic signals. In your journal, I invite you to reflect on this question. Where in my life, or with whom in my life, do I consistently feel resentful, drained, or taken for granted? Don't judge the feeling, just follow it. It is a clue. Gently explore that situation. What boundary might have been crossed? You don't have to do anything about it yet. The only goal is to cultivate the awareness that offense is needed. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 35. The Art of Saying No. We have learned to identify where boundaries are needed in our lives. Now we will learn how to build the gate for that boundary fence, using one of the simplest yet most powerful tools of self-respect we possess. We are here to master the art of saying one small, two-letter word. No. For many of us, no can feel like the hardest word in the world to say. It can feel sharp, confrontational, and unkind. But today, we will reframe it. A conscious, intentional no can be one of the most loving and honest words in our entire vocabulary. Consider this. Every time you say no to something that is not in alignment with your truth, you are simultaneously saying a powerful yes to something that is. When you say no to a commitment that would leave you exhausted, you are saying yes to your own vital energy and well-being. When you say no to taking on someone else's emotional drama, you are saying yes to your own inner peace. And when you say no to a request that feels like an obligation, you are saying yes to creating space in your life for the things that truly light you up. A no spoken from a place of self-respect is a yes to your soul. The primary obstacle to saying no is the overwhelming feeling of guilt. This guilt is often a deeply conditioned response. As children, our survival and belonging were often dependent on being agreeable and pleasing the adults around us. The guilt we feel when we say no is often the echo of that old survival strategy. But as sovereign adults, we must learn to feel that discomfort without letting it dictate our choices. Here is a truth to hold on to. The temporary discomfort of saying no is infinitely less toxic than the long-term, corrosive resentment that builds when you say yes, but mean no. So let's build a practical toolkit for saying no with grace, clarity, and kindness. You do not need to be harsh or aggressive. You only need to be clear. The first tool is the simple, kind no. You do not owe anyone a long, elaborate explanation. An explanation often just gives the other person something to argue with. A simple, "Thank you so much for the invitation, but I won't be able to make it." Or, "I appreciate you thinking of me for this project, but I don't have the capacity to take that on right now." It's complete. No is a full sentence. The second tool is the buy time number. It is perfectly acceptable to not give an immediate answer, especially if you feel put on the spot. You can say, "Let me check my calendar and I'll get back to you." Or, "I need to think about that. Can I let you know tomorrow?" This gives you the precious space you need to step away. Check in with your own intuition and energy levels and make a decision from a centered place, not a pressured one. A third option is the policy number. This is useful for recurring requests. By creating a personal policy, you make the no less about the specific person and more about a general rule you have for your life. For example, as a general policy, I keep my weekends free for rest and family time. Or, my personal rule is that I don't check the work emails after 6 p.m. And finally, there is the yes, but no, which is a form of compromise. This is for situations where you do want to help, but not in the way that was requested. I can't help you move for the entire day on Saturday, but I could come for 2 hours in the morning. Or, I don't have the emotional capacity for a long phone call right now, but I would love to connect for a walk next week. Now, you must be prepared for the fact that when you begin to set these boundaries, some people may not like it. They have become accustomed to your yes. Their pushback or disappointment is their emotional reaction to manage, not your responsibility to fix. A person who truly respects you will perhaps, after a moment of surprise, respect your boundary. A person who consistently pushes against your no is giving you very important information about the nature of that relationship. Saying no is an act of honoring your truth. It is a declaration of sovereignty over your own precious and finite resources of time and energy. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to practice in the safe space of your journal. Think of a real request you recently received where you said yes, but wished you had said no. Now write out 3 different ways you could have kindly and clearly declined, using the phrases and techniques from this chapter. The physical act of writing the words helps to build the neural pathway, making it easier to say them when the time comes. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 36. Releasing Resentment. We have learned why boundaries are essential, and we have practiced the art of saying no. Now, we must address the primary emotional consequence of failing to do these things. We are here to do the deep and liberating work of releasing resentment. Resentment is one of the most toxic and corrosive emotions we can hold. It is a feeling of bitter, simmering indignation at having been treated unfairly. It is the experience of reliving a past hurt over and over again, each time adding another layer of anger and righteousness. It is a slow burning fire that consumes our inner peace and poisons our relationships. And here is the truth that can set us free. Resentment is almost always a signal that a boundary has been crossed. More often than not, it is a boundary that we failed to set or to enforce. Resentment is the emotional residue left behind when we repeatedly say yes, when our soul is screaming no. It is the feeling that festers when we give more than we have to give, when we allow our time and energy to be taken for granted, or when we stay silent when we need to speak our truth. While another person's behavior may have been the initial trigger, the resentment itself is a message from ourselves to ourselves. It is our inner guidance system telling us that we have betrayed our own needs. To hold on to resentment is to remain in a state of powerlessness. We blame the other person for our feelings, waiting for them to change, to apologize, to finally see the light. This keeps us in a victim state, where our happiness is dependent on someone else's actions. The path to releasing resentment is the path of radical responsibility. It is the courageous act of withdrawing our blame from the other person and turning our loving attention back to ourselves, asking the powerful question, what is my part in this? What was the missing boundary? Let us walk through a practice for transforming resentment into wisdom. First, identify the resentment in the privacy of your own heart or your journal. Be honest. Who are you resentful of? What is the story you are telling yourself about what they did? Second, acknowledge your unmet need. Beneath every resentment is a core, universal need that was not being met. Look beneath your anger. What did you truly need in that situation that you did not receive? Was it a need for respect, for consideration, for support, for rest, for appreciation? Name the need. This step shifts you from blame to a deeper understanding of yourself. Third, and this is the crucial step, identify the missing boundary. Now, connect the unmet need to your own actions. What boundary did you fail to set that resulted in this need being ignored? For example, perhaps you are resentful of a family member for always calling you with their problems. The unmet need is for peace and quiet. The missing boundary was your failure to say, "I love you, but I don't have the emotional capacity for a long call right now." Fourth, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not having the awareness, the tools, or the courage to set that boundary at the time. You were doing the best you could. Release the self-blame. Finally, create a future-oriented plan. This is how you turn the poison into medicine. Based on what you have learned, what is one clear, kind boundary you can set in the future to protect this need? Your resentment has now become your teacher. It has shown you exactly where you need to show up for yourself more fully. This process takes you out of the powerless cycle of blame and places you firmly back in the driver's seat of your own emotional life. You no longer need the other person to change. You change your own behavior. You learn to protect your own needs. The resentment, having delivered its message, can finally be released. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to work with one small, current resentment. Take out your journal and compassionately guide yourself through the release process. Write down the resentment. Identify your unmet need. Identify the missing boundary you failed to set. Forgive yourself for not knowing better at the time. And then, write down one clear, simple boundary you can practice setting in the future. Transform this heavy feeling into a powerful lesson. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 37, Gratitude, the Amplifier of Love. We have done the courageous work of clearing our inner space, releasing old resentments and setting loving boundaries. We have created a sanctuary within. Now, we will learn how to furnish this sacred space with the beautiful, high vibration energy of gratitude. This is not simply about being polite or saying thank you. We are here to explore gratitude as a profound spiritual practice, a powerful tool that can fundamentally rewire your brain and transform your entire experience of reality. The human mind in its default state is a masterful survival machine. For thousands of years, our ancestors' survival depended on their ability to scan the environment for threats, problems, and potential dangers. This has left us with what scientists call a negativity bias. Our minds are naturally like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. We can receive 10 compliments and 1 criticism. And which one do we obsess over? The criticism. Gratitude is the conscious, intentional act of overriding this ancient survival programming. It is the practice of deliberately turning the spotlight of your attention away from what is wrong, what is broken, or what is missing, and shining it fully on what is good, what is working, and what is already here. It is a training for your mind, teaching it to seek the blessings instead of the burdens. There is a profound energetic principle at play here. What you appreciate, appreciates. The word appreciate has 2 beautiful meanings. The first is to be thankful for something. The second is to increase in value. When you place your focused, loving attention on the good in your life, the good in your life increases in value. It expands. Your energy is your most precious currency. When you spend it focusing on lack and problems, you amplify the energy of lack in your life. When you spend it focusing on what you are grateful for, you amplify the energy of abundance. This isn't just a spiritual concept. It is backed by a wealth of scientific research. Practicing gratitude has been shown to increase the levels of dopamine and serotonin in the brain, our natural antidepressants and happiness chemicals. It has been linked to better sleep, a stronger immune system, and increased resilience in the face of stress. It literally strengthens the neural pathways associated with happiness and contentment. The true art of this practice lies in moving beyond the obvious. It is wonderful to be grateful for the big things, our health, our home, our loved ones. But the deepest and most transformative gratitude is found in the microscopic details of the present moment. Can you feel a sense of gratitude for the simple fact that your heart is beating, a loyal and steady drum, without you having to command it? Can you feel gratitude for the chair that is supporting you, the roof over your head, the clean water you are able to drink? Can you feel gratitude for the technology that is allowing these words to reach your ears right now? A miracle of connection spanning time and space. When you begin to look at the world through the lens of gratitude, you realize that you are surrounded by an infinite number of miracles that you have simply been trained to overlook. The most advanced and heart-opening practice of all is to learn to find gratitude even for your challenges. This does not mean being grateful for the pain or the trauma itself. It means, when you are ready, being grateful for the lessons the challenge taught you, for the strength it forged within you, for the compassion it awakened in your heart, for the resilience you discovered you had. This is the alchemy that transforms every experience, no matter how difficult, into a gift that has served your soul's evolution. Gratitude is the ultimate state of receiving. It is the humble and joyful recognition of the blessings that are already pouring into your life in every moment. It turns what you have into enough, and very often, into more than enough. It is the key that unlocks the fullness of life. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to practice a gratitude rampage. Sometime in the next few days, set a timer for just 3 minutes. Open your journal and begin with one simple thing you're grateful for, like this warm cup of tea. Then just keep writing, listing anything and everything that comes to mind, big or small, without pausing or censoring. Let the momentum build. The comfortable chair I'm sitting in, the sound of rain on the window, the friend who texted me this morning. After the 3 minutes are up, close your eyes and feel the energetic shift in your body. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset, Chapter 38, The Gratitude Journal. We have explored the profound philosophy and the transformative power of gratitude. Now we will ground this beautiful concept in a simple, consistent, and life-changing daily practice. We are going to explore the art of keeping a gratitude journal. While the simple act of thinking grateful thoughts is beneficial, the physical act of writing them down takes the practice to a much deeper level. Writing requires you to slow down, to focus, and to translate a fleeting thought into concrete language. This process solidifies the experience in your mind and strengthens the new neural pathways of positivity you are creating. A gratitude journal transforms a good intention into a tangible habit. The basic practice is wonderfully simple. Find a notebook that feels special to you, a journal that you will dedicate only to this practice. Each day, either in the morning, to set a positive tone for your day, or in the evening, to reflect on the blessings that have passed, you will write down 3 to 5 things that you are grateful for. That's it. That is the entire practice. But within this simple framework, there are several keys you can use to unlock an even deeper and more powerful experience. The first key is to be specific. Vague gratitude is less impactful than detailed gratitude. For instance, instead of writing, "I am grateful for my family," which is lovely but general, try to pinpoint a specific moment. You might write, "I am so grateful for the way my partner packed my lunch for me this morning." Or, "I am grateful for the sound of my child's laughter when we were playing in the park." Specificity brings the memory to life, and with it, the genuine emotion of gratitude. The second key is to focus on people. While we can be grateful for things and circumstances, research has consistently shown that the gratitude that gives us the biggest boost in happiness is the gratitude we direct towards other people. Consciously scan your day for the people who have shown you kindness, offered you support, or simply brought a moment of joy into your life. Acknowledge the kind stranger who held the door, the colleague who offered a helping hand, the friend who sent a supportive text. The third, and perhaps most important key, is to savor the feeling. Do not let this become a mechanical, list-making exercise. For each item you write down, I invite you to pause for 20 to 30 seconds. Close your eyes. Relive the moment in your mind. See the sights, hear the sounds, and most importantly, allow yourself to truly feel the sensation of gratitude in your body. Where do you feel it? Is it a warmth in your chest? A lightness in your being? This step, the conscious savoring of the feeling, is what truly anchors the positive state in your nervous system. The list is just the prompt. The feeling is the prayer. To keep your practice fresh and prevent it from becoming repetitive, you can also play with different prompts. One day, you might focus on simple pleasures. Another day, something beautiful I saw. Or you could ask a powerful question, such as, what is one thing I took for granted today that I can now feel grateful for? Now, it is important to acknowledge that there will be difficult days filled with challenge, grief, or pain, where feeling grateful can seem impossible or even disingenuous. On these days, the practice is not to pretend that the darkness doesn't exist. This is not about toxic positivity. The practice is to hold both. It is to acknowledge the pain and also see if you can find one small thing, however humble, to be grateful for. Perhaps it is just the warmth of your bed, or the taste of a sip of water, or the simple fact of your own breath. On the darkest days, gratitude can be the practice of finding one small candle and lighting it. Not to deny the darkness, but to remind yourself that light still exists. Your gratitude journal is a sacred text of your own life. It is a written record of your blessings, a testament to the goodness, beauty, and love that is always present, waiting to be noticed. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation for this week is to commit to a 7-day gratitude practice. Every day, write down 3 specific things you are grateful for, and be sure to pause and savor the feeling for each one. At the end of the 7 days, take a few minutes to read back over all 21 entries. Then, write a short reflection on what it felt like to consciously and consistently focus on the good in your life for 1 full week. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Chapter 39, Acts of Kindness. We have spent our time together filling our own cups, cultivating the beautiful, receptive states of self-love and gratitude. Now we will explore the joy that comes when that cup begins to overflow. We are here to explore the active, generative practice of kindness. We will learn that one of the most direct paths to experiencing our own happiness is to contribute to the happiness of others. Kindness is the natural, outward expression of a heart that is at peace with itself. When we feel whole, when we feel grateful for our own blessings, the desire to share that goodness with the world arises spontaneously. It is the shift from what can I get to what can I give. The beauty of kindness is that its benefits flow in all directions. Modern science has confirmed what spiritual traditions have known for millennia. When we perform an act of kindness, our brains release a cocktail of beneficial chemicals, including oxytocin, often called the love hormone, which fosters feelings of connection and trust, as well as serotonin and dopamine, which contribute to feelings of happiness and satisfaction. This feeling is sometimes called the helper's high. But the magic doesn't stop there. The person who receives the act of kindness also experiences these positive neurochemical shifts. And what is even more remarkable, research shows that anyone who simply witnesses an act of kindness gets a similar emotional boost. Kindness is quite literally contagious. Every small, loving act you put out into the world has the potential to create a ripple effect of positivity that extends far beyond your initial gesture. Kindness is also a powerful antidote to our own suffering. When we are stuck in a cycle of anxiety, worry, or self-pity, our focus has contracted inward onto our own problems. Performing a simple act of kindness for someone else forces our perspective to expand outward. It shifts our focus from our own perceived lack to our capacity to contribute. It reminds us of our own agency and our connection to others, which can be an incredibly powerful circuit breaker for negative mental loops. It is so important that we redefine what it means to be kind. We often think of kindness in terms of grand, heroic gestures, but the most transformative kindness is often found in the smallest, simplest, most consistent actions. It is not about grand gestures designed to earn recognition. It is about the quiet, humble intention to bring a moment of light into someone else's day. Let's brainstorm a menu of these simple kindnesses to show how accessible this practice truly is. An act of kindness can be letting someone with fewer items go ahead of you in the grocery line. It can be leaving a generous tip and a kind note for a service worker. It can be sending an unexpected text message to a friend, simply telling them why you appreciate them. It can be giving a genuine, heartfelt compliment to a stranger about their smile or their energy. It can be as simple as picking up a piece of litter on the sidewalk, an act of kindness to the collective and to the earth. It can be smiling warmly and making eye contact with the people you pass by. It can be holding a door open for someone, pausing for a moment to ease their way. Notice how none of these things require a lot of time, money, or effort. They only require one thing: a moment of your conscious, loving attention directed outward. Every interaction you have today is an opportunity. Every person you meet is a chance to practice. You have the power in any given moment to be a source of stress or a source of peace for those around you. You can be a source of judgment, or you can be a source of kindness. By choosing to be a conduit for kindness, you not only elevate the world around you, you elevate your own being. You align yourself with the energy of love. And that is the most powerful and joyful energy there is. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is to become a secret agent of kindness. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to perform one small, completely anonymous act of kindness. This could be leaving a few coins in a vending machine, writing a positive review for a small business online, or leaving a beautiful flower on a neighbor's doorstep. There should be no possibility of you getting credit for it. Afterwards, in your journal, write about how it felt to give freely, with zero expectation of recognition or reward. Say, welcome to the Luminara Mindset, Chapter 40, Integrating Self-Love and Compassion. We have just completed a profound pilgrimage together, a journey into the very center of our own hearts. We have walked the sacred ground of self-love and acceptance. We have faced the shadows of the past with the light of forgiveness. We have learned to draw the circle of our boundaries with kindness and to speak our truth with compassion. We have filled our inner world with the resonant beauty of gratitude and witnessed how that fullness naturally overflows as kindness. This work is the very core of our journey, and today we are here not to learn something new, but to honor and integrate all that has unfolded. The goal is to move these lessons from practices that we do into a state of being that we embody. True integration means that self-love is no longer just a 10-minute journaling exercise. It is the compassionate lens through which you view your entire life. It means that forgiveness is not a one-time event, but an ongoing willingness to release the past so you can be free in the present. It means that a boundary is not just a difficult conversation you have once, but a constant, living expression of your self-respect. So how do we weave these threads into the fabric of our daily lives? Let us explore a few pillars of integration. The first is the simple practice of the daily check-in. A few times a day, perhaps when you pause to drink a glass of water, gently place a hand on your heart. Close your eyes for just 15 seconds and ask 2 questions. What am I feeling right now? And what do I need right now? This simple act is a profound integration of honoring your feelings and your needs. It is a recurring ritual of returning home to yourself amidst the business of your day. The second pillar is the compassionate response. Life will inevitably present you with challenges. You will make mistakes. You will fall short of your own expectations. In these moments, your integration is tested. Can you catch the familiar voice of the inner critic? And can you, in that crucial moment of awareness, consciously choose the voice of self-compassion instead? Can you meet your own failure with the kindness you would offer a friend? This is where the practice becomes a lived reality. The third pillar is your relational stance. As you interact with others, can you carry the lessons of empathy and active listening with you? Can you enter conversations with the primary goal of understanding, rather than being right? Can you listen with a quiet mind and an open heart? This transforms every interaction from a potential conflict into an opportunity for connection. And the fourth pillar is the energetic choice. Throughout your day, you will be presented with countless opportunities to focus on what is wrong or to focus on what is right. You can complain about the traffic, or you can be grateful for the music playing in your car. You can lament the rainy day, or you can be thankful for the nourishment it brings the earth. This conscious and repeated choice to pivot towards gratitude is how you make it your default state of being. Please remember, this is a spiral path, not a linear one. You will revisit these lessons again and again, each time from a higher level of awareness. Some days, you will feel deeply integrated and full of love. Other days, you will feel triggered and forget everything you have learned. This is not a failure. This is the human experience. The goal is not perfection in the practice, but a compassionate commitment to always returning to the practice. We have tended to the heart. We have learned the language of love. And now, with this foundation firmly in place, we are ready to explore the very energy of that love. We are ready to move from the psychology of our being to the physics of our consciousness. The journey is about to expand. Welcome to the Luminara Mindset. Your invitation this week is one of loving reflection. Look back over the journey of part 2, from self-love and forgiveness to gratitude and kindness. In your journal, which of these practices has created the most significant and welcome shift in your inner world so far? Write a short letter of gratitude to yourself for having the courage, the patience, and the commitment to engage in this deep and life-changing work.